Okay guys, welcome back to the beginner series. This is the degreasing step. So this is going to be one of the most simple, easy to do steps. What we're looking for is to take all the major debris, dirt, grime, sanding residue off the vehicle. We're going to want to get into the nooks and crannies, but this is going to be something that's really self-explanatory. So not a whole lot to understand here. The one thing that's important is as you go around the vehicle, you want to look at your sanding work and see, is there any place that's clearly missed? When you'll be able to tell because it will still be shiny. What you want is a dull panel. That's exactly what we're after with minimal scratches. You know, most of them are going to come out, but really you want a nice dull panel. If you see any spots that are shiny, maybe just grab your disc and go back over it. What I have here is I have water with just a basic degreaser. There's no special recipe here. Any degreaser, even like a Dawn dish soap, can work just fine. And then I've got two soft microfibers. I reuse my microfibers for all my jobs. We teach our technicians to do that. I'm probably going to use 4 to 6 total microfibers. And again, there's no magic way to degrease a vehicle. We're essentially just cleaning the vehicle. I fold my microfiber into a square. So I take it, I fold it in half, and I fold it in half again. Now what this allows me to do is to get clean surfaces as I'm moving around the vehicle. So pretty much after every panel, I'll flip to a new surface on each hand. Now you can know I've got 2 microfibers. One is going to be for the first pass, and then I'm going to go back over it with the second pass. And so I'm going to take off the major grime, and then I'm going to come back over and get up any remaining contamination on the vehicle. And really the whole point of this, the whole point of everything up to the application is to prep the vehicle and remove as much or all the contamination on the vehicle as possible, because that contamination can spread with the product, and you can see it if you get up really close. So we want a factory clean finish. So that's why we're aiming to remove as much contamination as possible. So let's get into degreasing that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the hood and I'm going to elevate the hood. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking a box or something that I can use to elevate my hood. This is how my hood is going to remain until I'm completely done with application and I've let the panel cure. And that, you can see, gives me a nice raised area. And so one thing I'm going to do as I'm going around with my degreasing liquid is I'm going to be getting all the nooks and crannies. It's really easy to clean a panel, right? What you want to look out for and where the attention to detail comes is all these other areas, because we're trying to get this panel as clean as possible so that when we do the chemical bath, we get off everything and we have hardly any contamination when we get to that point. So as we're doing the chemical bath, we take off any remaining contamination on the vehicle. So I'm pretty much just going to demonstrate this one panel because you're just going to repeat this across the entire vehicle. One thing that a lot of beginners ask when we do our trainings is, can I take it out and do a foam cannon, or can I do use a hose on it? Really, the reason why we do it this way is to manage the amount of water in the cracks and crevices of the vehicle. Because if you have water in your vehicle, in your panel somewhere, and you don't get it out, and let's say when you're applying ReGloss, it comes out, you're going to have to redo that panel. So the reason why we use a spray bottle and go around by hand is it's not much work, and it allows us to control the amount of water on the panel, so we don't have to worry about water seeping out of cracks later on when we're actually in the thick of the application process. So I just want to spray the panel with my degreasing liquid. And then I'm going to take my left dominant hand and I'm just going to start from one end and go to the other. I'm going to get into the cracks and crevices as I move. And I'm also inspecting the panel. I can see it's dull. So I did a really good job sanding. I don't see any areas that stand out. You'll be able to see them really easily. Now I go with my offhand. And again, I'm getting this crevice up here. I can see dirt and contamination. I have long arms, but if you don't have that, you can just move over here. And it's very basic, but again, it's attention to detail. I'm using my microfiber to get all that dirt and contamination from right on this edge of the hood, because I don't even want to risk that being there when I do my application. Now this hood has these rock chips. Those are going to stand out a lot more now that we have cleaned off and sanded down the hood. So that's one thing that you're going to see as you use ReGloss, is that those minor imperfections, the car is going to look so good that those minor imperfections actually stand out a little bit more after the fact. So it's really nice to have a touch-up kit or something like that for your vehicle or your customer's vehicle as an upsell service for them. Okay, now we've degreased the hood. We've gotten it nice and clean. Now I'm going to go around the rest of the vehicle. Same idea. I'm going to manipulate my towel. I'm more worried about getting into all the cracks and crevices with my towel than I am to clean this area. This area is easy to clean, right? I just do a pass and I clean it. It's the cracks and crevices all around the vehicle, even that inner part of the wheel well. Get that nice and clean. And then when we go have our chemical bath right before application, give this bad boy a chemical bath. It's going to go a lot. It's going to be a lot cleaner. We want to have as little contamination at that point as possible. So doing a really good degrease job on the entire vehicle is going to help make that possible. Another thing to remember as you're going about your vehicle, I always clean the windows. I get all that residue, because if this is a customer car, you want to make sure before you apply, you've got as far cleaned as possible. So I always get that sanding residue off all the windows, moonroof, windshield, just to make sure that I don't have any possibility for contamination on the vehicle. After you've degreased the vehicle, you should have at least 4 microfibers. You're probably going to use 4 to 6 microfibers for the entire vehicle. I like to take them and run them through these door jambs right here, because that, just like my hood, allows my doors to stay propped open. Now, why is that important? As I'm applying this vehicle, I want to be able to move around without having to touch it. I also want this panel off the other panel. So I always take one of my microfibers for each door jamb and close it like that. And another good tip is to always have, after you've done your first degrease, have a microfiber, because as you're taping off the vehicle, as you're going around, you're always inspecting your work, inspecting for contamination. Everything we do up until application is to reduce the possibility of contamination at any point with the ReGloss.